Hey, Brooks. Really glad you could join us today here in the Infiniverse. This is our 2 week, well, every 2 week VR cast we do here in the city. You can join us, anybody watching new today, this is live, and you can join it. And there may be technical difficulties, but that's okay. That's how it goes. But you can join us every 2 weeks here, and we interview either schools or other XR providers that are partnered with us at VEDX, just to kind of get the ecosphere laid out for everybody. And if you want to go back and watch the old ones, all you've got to do is turn around and you see all those doors. Those are all the past weeks that are recorded, and they have their own waiting rooms, so you can go and learn a little bit more about the product or the school that's using the product here at the VEDX interview. So Brooks, after we're done here, you should go check out some of those rooms and kind of see some of the other spaces.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, I want to say thank you for joining us. I know you're a busy man. Will you kind of introduce yourself to everybody watching today?
Sure. Thank you for having me, Jay. I'm excited, and I'll definitely check out the library of recordings that you've got going on. It looks like a cool space, and definitely something I'll go adventure in. I'm Brooks Philippine. I'm head of business development here at ManageXR. My role is working with people like Jay. I work with schools. I work with enterprises to understand the end-to-end solution of virtual reality deployments. So I'm not necessarily creating content. I'm not a developer myself. What ManageXR does is creates the platform to which people can manage and distribute virtual reality experiences to their users. So I think today we'll probably get more into that. But I kind of play a crucial part in the deployment process, and I work with partners such as Jay and the hardware providers to make sure that people can deploy VR successfully at their organizations.
Yeah, and I think one thing I want to focus on, Brooks, and this is something that when we're speaking with educators, under 18 high school type educators mostly, for this next comment, but they always ask, how do I keep my students safe?
Yeah.
How do I keep them from entering in places that they shouldn't be? Because every student will not do what you say unless you have guided them to the right spots. And what we've set up with you has been really exciting. So maybe you could talk a little bit about what happens when a kiosk is on and that student puts on that headset, or that learner at a corporate level.
Absolutely. If you don't mind, let me set the stage to how we got here.
Yep.
Back in 2016 and 2017, we were a healthcare development company. And we deployed applications to pediatric hospitals around the US. At the time, we had about 1,200 Gear VRs, if any of you remember the Gear VR. And one of the scale boundaries that we recognized is that we were requiring a couple things from people that didn't know anything about VR. We required children in hospital settings to navigate to applications that they'd never seen or used before in a place they'd never been, right? Virtual reality, it's not a computer or a phone. You can't just look over their shoulder and guide them. And we were also asking nurses to manage and understand these devices at large scale, oftentimes, 10 to 25 headsets per department. And it became really hard to work with both of these things. So at ManageXR, we created some tools to try and solve both those issues. How do we make it easy for those pediatric patients, and in Jay's case, students, to access applications that are approved for them? And how do we make it easy for those nurses, or in Jay's case, teachers, their ability to manage a classroom of devices and make sure that all the students are doing the right applications? So today, what we do is we kiosk things. A kiosk is it's a traditional term, right? So if you go to the airport, you look up at the TVs, they're only doing one thing, right? They're not playing Netflix or the news. They're playing arrivals and departures. That's an application that TV is displaying. We take that idea and we push it through VR. So when you put a VR headset on, you don't see Oculus, you don't see a store or applications that aren't approved or the internet browser. What you see is this custom interface that Jay's created for your organization. It'll have your branding, it'll have applications that you've approved for your students. I like to tell people that a lot of our Oculus users don't even know what Oculus is. All they've ever really experienced at their point in virtual reality is what they've been approved and given to them by their organization. So I'll stop there, and hopefully that answered your question a little bit, Jay.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great background. I didn't even know the background from the medical history. That was really interesting. I want to ask you a few things along that roadmap that you guys have come down. Tell me a little bit about what it was that turned that light on. What was it after realizing the kids were having to navigate, nurses were having to navigate? How did you make that switch? Like, I would just, I want to know a little more there.
We had to become our own customer, right?
Yeah.
There wasn't something in the industry. You've heard of traditional management platforms like Intune or VMware, or for Apple devices, maybe you're using Jamf, one of these, device management platforms, but nothing worked for VR. Companies hadn't really understood what this was, but we knew that the industry was growing, and virtual reality was something people were excited about. It was transformative, but there was a massive problem with deploying it. So that was the kind of green light for us. We had to build our own tools. We had to build these features. We had to create ways to force devices to work for us. And we started there. We were our own client. We did that for a little bit, and then kind of the light did come on. We said, I think this maybe is a easier business than working in healthcare. So that's when we kind of fully pivoted to ManageXR and started to build out this platform for the broader use, specifically geared toward education and enterprise organizations.
Yeah, no, it's been an exciting development for us as we go into schools, and we can tell that school, like I was saying, how do I keep my students safe? That the apps in there are deliberately put in there for educational use. Yeah. Student, some teachers don't want to put on a VR headset. They want to use VR in the classroom because they know the engagement, but they're not going to take that step to be in there and develop content in VR. So that's why the classroom is great, because they can just explore on their own in a homeroom or check out from the library. So I want to ask you, as we go forward with the classroom, is this something that is going to be on all devices? Is it on all devices? Just for everyone, if that's what I would be thinking if I was an educator right now. Is this on Pico? Is it an HTC? Is it just for Quest, etc.?
That's a great question. So, ManageXR, we don't resell hardware, but we certainly have our recommendations to what's going to be easiest for you. Now, the future of virtual reality is moving to what we call standalone headsets. So these are headsets that you can put on your head. It's not attached to a computer. So I would first start there, right? If someone's trying to say, well, VR needs to work, you need to plug it into a computer, and the computer is going to cost me $5,000. That's not true. We have so much power with these standalone units, specifically Oculus Quest devices, Pico devices, and HTC. I would say those are the big three. We work inherently and are on all Pico devices currently, and we're working toward that goal with Quest and HTC. Happy to talk more about that if you would like. I think that this industry is certainly growing, and all the pieces are coming together to work to make VR a reality. And that's something that we haven't seen in the long history of VR, is all of these different pieces not exactly working together at the same time. I think that's what we're seeing today.
Yeah, and I mean, I think you can look at the evolution of the iPhone, the evolution of the Android, and see how when an ecosphere comes together for a very specific purpose, it works really well. We had a lot of teachers this year call us up and say, we've got these 10 headsets, but I had to log in on the phone. I had to connect them to Facebook. What do we do? And now with the VEDX classroom, it's a simple answer. Well, let's reset those, and let's put them on a school, Meta Quest account, and get them with a classroom so it protects the students from being able to go anywhere else. So,
and if I might interject, that is why this relationship is so important to us at ManageXR. I think the initial setup phase is new, and it's different than what teachers and IT departments at schools have traditionally gone through. So the ability for you to consult and deliver, a full package that's repeatable and deployable is something that's incredibly valuable to us at ManageXR, because that is a very personal relationship, right? That you kind of build with these schools.
Yeah.
It's a learning curve, but
Yeah.
it's going really well, and we're very excited about it.
So just for educators watching too, a lot of the, not just the safeguarding, but let's talk about a few more of the other features, such as the ability to push content. I've noticed some really great upgrades over this last year with ManageXR, and if you want to talk about those, just in terms of, I'm a teacher, I want to push a video. I'm a teacher, I want to push a 360 video. I want to push a link.
Yeah. Would you like me to show or tell?
Sure. Probably we've talked a lot, so let's see if we can do a share or see something live.
Absolutely. Give me a second to share my screen. And Jay, if you don't mind, I'll share your organization. Is that all right?
Yeah. That's great.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. So, today we're not going to go through all of ManageXR. More than happy to work alongside Jay to show all of you more of ManageXR if you're interested. But today, I think we're going to focus specifically on content. Now, traditionally, if you put on an Oculus device, you might click on Beat Saber, right? That's an application that's from the Oculus store, developed by another company. And you can play this application. You launch it like any application you would on your computer or phone. That is the primary use for VR today. And we fully encourage applications, whether you're building it yourself, purchasing it through Jay, or working with students. But that's not the only type of content you can use in virtual reality. You can use WebXR, for example. So if you've ever been on YouTube and you've gone, the one I like to talk about is the People's House. It's a tour that former President Barack Obama gives. He walks people through the White House and shows them each room. It's really cool. It's engaging. It's not exactly VR, like putting it on your head, but it's a 360 video that's being used through YouTube. So we encourage people to check that out. That's called WebXR. We also support videos natively. So we're working with Monterey Bay Aquarium. It's a beautiful aquarium here in California, and they do videos of tide pools and have students come in and learn about the tides and learn about crabs and things like that. And they're using video content, and they put it into ManageXR, and then they deploy that through this system to the headsets. Now, without the use of ManageXR, you can't really use 360 video. You would have to do a number of different things, and you might be able to get it working. But here, using ManageXR and working with Jay, what we can do is take videos that you've recorded at your own school or videos online that you'd like to show, and we can get that into the system and deploy new and exciting content for your existing or new virtual reality deployments.
I think what's great, Brooks, if you head over to just the let's see, scroll down a little bit there through the apps.
Sure. Yeah, so here we've got all sorts of managed applications, and we've got applications from Oculus or Pico, as well as things from our partners. We've got videos that you can upload and WebXR as well. So a full content library.
So as an administrator, a teacher that gets added to the VEDX classroom space in ManageXR, they then can upload their own video into that space, hit deploy, it pushes it out, and that's it. it's a very straightforward process.
Yeah.
And same with web links. That is a very specific web link that then is allowed to open in the headset. And then if they try to go anywhere else, it closes back down. So I think that's a great application, or showing what you could do with the application more aptly, and keeping students safe. So can you go to the experience?
Absolutely. So if we wanted to look at one of these classrooms, after we've approved content, which you can see here, what we want to do, and I mentioned this earlier, is we want to make it easy for the students to access this content. It can be as little as one application or 20 applications. The point being, we're approving it for them and we're making it accessible. So here is all of the applications that we would like our students to have access to. And then this is what those students will see when they put on that headset. This doesn't allow them access to Facebook. It doesn't allow them access to things like the browser. It's a fully locked down headset that keeps them engaged in educational content. So Jay has done a great job of setting up this classroom where he has groups of different types of campuses and team building, and he's got a content creator section where students can kind of scroll and choose the applications that they're ready to engage in. As an administrator, you can also choose for them by doing device commands and launching applications. But this is going to be that student's home environment. So there isn't access to anything outside of here, although you can have them cast to their devices or reconnect to the internet. There are some things that are going to help the troubleshooting. So when a student raises their hand and says, I don't know what's going on, you've got the tools to understand what's happening on that headset.
Yeah, which is great. And additionally, it says VEDX Classroom. That's the generic name of what we've created for this curation, along with our own apps that we put in there, App VEDX. And we have the tools to help develop 3D objects and other things that your school may need to go in there. But in addition to that, when you partner with us, your classroom has your logo as a school, whatever 3D picture that you want to look. And when that headset's on, that's actually a 360 picture. So you're looking around. I love that part. I also love the fact that, as a teacher, Brooks, you can upload a 360 video, and it just natively, when you select it, 360 video, it shows up right there. And if you scroll down to like the OSU one,
Let's
right there, CTE, or that right there is just an uploaded 360 video, MP4 360 video, and it natively plays when the student selects it. You don't have to go into another app or a login or a player. Just plays right out of ManageXR. So you can put a lot of those up there, if you think of all the ones out there in the world. So I want to say thanks, Brooks, for taking the time and talking a little bit more about why you're the core of our classroom and what we're doing for schools overall. And if you're an educator out there, we have a university classroom, professor, etc. If you that has apps made for university. If you're a high school, we have a high school classroom, light, fully loaded, language enabled, or CTE enabled, all different choices depending on your what you want in there. So I think that's about it for today. Any final words, Brooks? If you're thinking about, we talked a lot about education, but a lot of people out here right now watching are also entrepreneurs, and they may have training that they want to push out to folks in their industry or in their company. So if you had, one thing to talk to corporate trainers, some of the success that you've had there, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, well, thank you, first of all, for having me today, Jay. It's been great to kind of talk to you and talk to those watching today about how we're working together and what we can create for your school or your organization. I think what's important, if I was to leave behind one thing, it's in order for pilots and VR to be successful, we need to understand what these devices are doing. And to do that, we need to create kind of a communication channel with these devices. We need to be able to talk to them. We need to be able to send things to them. We need to, importantly, understand how it's being used. So in the instance of Jay, what we want to help at ManageXR is also like, how much time are people spending in your applications? Are these applications online? Are they offline? Is anybody using them? Right? Because a worst case scenario for us is that you invest in hardware and you invest in time in putting together these types of trainings with Jay, and you send these out to a training facility or a school and no one puts them on, right? But you don't know if they're being used if we don't have an ability to talk and communicate with these devices. So our goal at ManageXR is not just to sell a management solution, right? Our goal is to promote the use of VR. And it's to enable people to use it better and use it more, because we truly believe in the power of VR. We believe in the power of what Jay is doing in terms of delivering this content to you. So that's our goal. Our goal is to, if you have 30 minutes a week to use VR, we want to use 30 minutes in training or education. We don't want to have time wasted looking for an application, trying to figure out what to do, working with 30 different students. It'll never work. So that's what we want to help you do. And I think the industry and I think all of us here are working toward the same goal of making VR adoptable, understandable, and deployable.
Excellent. Thank you, Brooks. And Brooks, once you check out the recordings, be sure to go over to the education district. It's in the New Alexandria city. Yeah, we got to pick out a store for you. I don't know if we've gotten a storefront yet for you. So
yeah,
go check that out.
Got to get to work.
And yeah, everybody else watching, thank you for coming today. Join us every 2 weeks for these VR casts that are all based around virtual reality, education, institutions, marketing, the ecosphere that will change the world of engagement, access, and retention. So appreciate your time. And Brooks, see you on the flip side.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you, everybody.
See ya.